I have to look at their intention. I know for my mom, always had articles for me to read, medicines, like creams to try. I just always took it with love. And so I didn't really set a boundary. I just acknowledged her advice. If it's really bothering you, then you can say, thank you so much for always looking out for me and trying to help me with these suggestions. I think I have a clear understanding like what my doctor is suggesting, and I'm gonna stick with that. If I ever want more suggestions, I'll definitely reach out to you and ask. If this was me, and even though she upset me, my number one priority in life is to maintain my relationships. I would humble myself, and even though I'm the one hurt and she's in the wrong, I would keep reaching out to her until she's ready to talk. The good news is you're not actually needing anything from your mother-in-law. If you have a boundary, it's about something that you need in your life. It's something that you're going to change. It's something you're going to do for yourself. It's not actually like telling your mother-in-law, this is what you have to acknowledge, this is what you have to change. So her stonewalling or ignoring you on it doesn't really change anything. Like, she definitely got the message. You don't really have to talk about it. She comes over unannounced. And you're saying, this is a boundary for me. You can't come over unannounced like this. You could tell her, hey, I need you to call or text to make sure I'm available before you just stop over. And then if she's just ignores you on that and then she shows over unannounced, you holding the line is simply not letting her in. So you greet her at the door and you're like, oh, Doris, I'm sorry. Remember, I need you to call or text before you come in. I'm not up for guests, so we'll have to set this up for another time. When we try to be really easygoing and we don't have expectations, people really don't think we need anything. And so for me, I would raise the expectations or raise the bar so that they know, I need more from you. Your first step always is to get on the same page as your partner. And so my suggestion would be to get into couples therapy, have him get an outsider's perspective, super neutral, and just get on the same page that way. So if this is something new, I would assume my mom is really lonely, and that's her way of trying to reach out or get some attention. I'm really close to my mom, so I would probably help her plug into a church group, or maybe at 70, I know at 42, I'm into knitting, but maybe at 70 she's into knitting. We have a knitting group in our town. I would try to plug my mom into places so that she has more besides just me. I would just stay consistent, stay nurturing, just be who you are, and over time, I believe she will start to trust that oh yeah, she really does want a relationship with me, and she'll warm up to you. I have done 2 podcast episodes on this on YouTube. This is such a sad silent epidemic going on right now with adult children estranging and parents trying to figure out what to do, and it's really, really hard when there's grandkids involved. You should check out those episodes. Also, a leading expert, Dr. Joshua Coleman. He is really, really phenomenal and has a lot of great resources in this field. What I suggest, my 3 simple steps that I go about this in the podcast is, I believe that the parents shouldn't stop reaching out. I believe you should every 7 to 10 days, maybe even a couple weeks, you should drop a note thinking about you. And then every 4 to 6 weeks, remind them, I'm willing to meet on your terms, take accountability, I want to apologize, whatever it is. And you basically just keep doing that until they're ready to crack the door. At the meeting, they're going to tell you you hurt their feelings in some way, or they feel disrespected in some way. I recommend you take full accountability for making them feel that way. You're not saying, yeah, this is what I did and I'm acknowledging that you're right and I'm wrong. You're saying, I can definitely tell that I hurt you, and I would never as your parent intentionally hurt you. So like, I'm really sorry. That's what you're acknowledging. And then the last part, not to bring up the grandkids. If you focus on seeing the grandkids, I believe it makes your adult child feel less important, and they feel like as long as you get to see the grandkids, you're really not concerned about mending fences or making them feel better. So I think you should really focus on your adult child, and if the in-law is involved, focus on meeting their needs, making them feel seen, heard, and understood, and then hopefully, once that happens, they'll invite you to see the grandkids. So I would intervene as much as I could if I'm like present. Maybe they don't even realize, because I mean, you know, sometimes there are different energies in kids. Like we all want to wish and hope that grandparents treat our kids like equally and the same. And kids have different energies. Like my son has a completely different presence than our daughter, and he's a lot more to handle, to watch for grandparents than our daughter is. Like she'll sit and read a book all day and my son will tear your house apart. That's different. And so they also might not be aware though that they're treating him differently. And so I would talk to him and I would just say, hey, I'm not sure if you are picking up on this, but I'm just noticing that sometimes you're a little harsher with James, or you kind of cut him short on sharing the tablet. Like, I just want to make sure you're aware of that because I don't want him to see you any differently as his grandparents. So my first question is does the mother-in-law have some sort of anxiety? And the sister-in-law is her comfort blanket. Like, I always am trying to think, like, what is the reason behind their behavior? And I give people the benefit of the doubt. In all my thousands of hours in working with clients over the past decade, we should just give people the benefit of the doubt. Like, they're not trying to, like, go out of their way to intentionally do something bad to us. And so I would spark up a conversation and I would call her and say, hey, I noticed that you always bring Brenda along. I'm wondering if there's anything we can do to make you feel more comfortable. If I'm already placing judgment on the way she's spending her money, could you imagine how I would feel if like she's spending now my money? That would just like piss me off. And that would hurt our relationship. So the boundary, like I define a boundary as this self-imposed rule or limit that keeps me safe, balanced, and strengthens my relationship. I would need a boundary there because that would break down our relationship, because that would upset me. I wish I was in a position, but I'm not, and like I just can't lend you money. I'm really excited that you have this new relationship and everything is working smoothly with Daniel. We can't wait to get to know him ourselves, like as adults. But right now, we're just having immediate family come over to meet Jackson. I feel so bad because you guys have done such a wonderful job blending your family and then having a respectful relationship with your husband's ex-wife and her new husband. It's just something to be celebrated and proud of, and I'm sure that's very disappointing for you. I would just continue to do what I'm doing. Like, you can't force her to like you. You can't force her to want to be around you, but you can control how you continue to show up. You can control how much you reach out to her. I believe they're the same thing because I define it as it's a self-imposed rule or limit. So it's something that you have discovered, oh, this feels really uncomfortable for me. I need to set this rule or limit in order for me to feel safe, balanced, and strengthen my relationships. I used to set a boundary and then sit back and then wait for the other person to change. I used to do that, and it was horrible for my relationships because they wouldn't, for whatever reason. There's a variety of reasons why people don't respect boundaries. They either don't understand them, they think they're silly, they are not motivated to, it's hard to change in general, and they're not motivated like you are because it's not affecting them or impacting them like it does you. There could be untreated mental illness. There's so many reasons why people don't respect your boundary. And then once I realized I had it flipped the wrong way and I started setting my boundaries and then holding my line by changing my behavior, life is so much better and I'm happier, my relationships are stronger, I don't have resentment, and I feel in complete control of it. I would reach out to him. Even though he hasn't announced that he's coming home, you didn't know he was gonna be here, you just gotta think of your 3-year-old son, and you gotta think of your relationship. Like, I always think, for me, the most important thing in my life is making memories with my friends and family. And so relationships are key, not about right or wrong. It's about relationships. And so for me, if I had my 3-year-old son looking at me and I know that his uncle, someone who he looks up to greatly, is like a mile down the road and not across the world, I would just reach out and just be like, oh my gosh, like, I didn't even know you were coming. It's so exciting. Jax would love to see you. Let us know when you're free. Before I ask her how she's doing, I would say, like, Sarah, I have to talk to you about something. This is how I've been feeling. I feel like I call, I give you my undivided attention, but then when it's my turn to share, you don't give me the time of day, and it hurts. And I'm wondering if you're aware of it. So first I would bring it up, like curiosity. You guys could even structure your conversations differently, where when you call her, you get the first 15 and then she can go. I would pull her aside and I would just say, Linda, I know you don't mean any harm by this, but I have to tell you, you're crushing me. When you make comments about my physical weight, it makes me feel judged. It makes me feel like I'm doing something wrong. Like, it's not good. Is there any way you could please stop doing it? You know, for her generation, it was super important to get a job that has benefits and you have this consistent income and you have all this set in place and you do that for your family. Like, in her generation, like her opportunities, it was all about stability for the family. Our generation is different. We do want to have like a sense of purpose with our careers. We do want to have passion and feel like we can pave our own way. And I think just knowing that and understanding that she's coming from a very good place. She's not trying to like hurt you. Like, you're taking it like she's dismissing your career and all of your hard work. And I hear it as she's saying, I'm so worried about your future. If you guys are close, you can validate her first and you can just say, I know you're only worried about me. You're only looking out for us. And you don't understand, it makes me feel like all this hard work, you don't see all the traction I'm gaining. You can talk to her like that and see if it can click where she can put her own boundaries in place. Like, I'm going to put trust in her that she knows what she's doing. I believe she wants to address this with her sister. You could also talk to your daughters. I just want you guys to know, whenever we're having a disagreement, you can always come to me and tell me your feelings. Tell me, like, we can have a conversation about this. I also want you to have a neutral party, and if you feel comfortable and safe talking to your aunt, I want you to have that resource. If she ever tells you like not to come to me, please know that you can always come to me. Reinforce the open door with my children versus like trying to reprimand my sister, because it seems like she's trying to do it in secret. I'm like a mom first. I love that you're being there for your grandma, and I'm a mom first. If my grandma couldn't realize how she was putting me out for whatever reason, there's probably a lot of reasons. Like, it's her comfort level. You get scared. You get more like just infantile as we age, and we only have a very small circle of people that we're comfortable with. I would say, Grandma, you know I love you. That's why I invited you into my home. And this isn't fair for my 5 kids. I'm running myself ragged, they're not getting my time, and you're not getting the adequate care. I want you to be able to stay with me. If that is how we're going to do this, you need to work with me on hiring some help. And if she still isn't open to it, then you just say, we're gonna have to look at taking you back to the nursing home or taking you back to a different nursing home. Your father-in-law is very insecure. It's very hard to see that. When somebody presents with so much confidence, they can't be told that they're wrong even when they're presented with evidence. It means they are so insecure, they just can't get beyond this shield that they've kind of put up, this front of being like right all the time. Like, you're not gonna crack that. Instead of trying to figure out like, how do I set boundaries with someone that won't listen, I wouldn't try to correct somebody like that. I would have so much empathy if that was my father-in-law. Like, so my dad used to tell me, not everybody has to know you're right for you to be right. I would just listen to him and I would just be like, oh my gosh, you know, yeah, this is another tale. But that poor man needs attention or needs to feel important or needs to share this in such a way so much that he's just like spewing out nonsense that's not even true, but like he needs it so badly, he doesn't even care that it's not correct. I did a podcast episode about high conflict personality. I'm not saying your mother-in-law has a high conflict personality. I am saying in that episode 7, I talk about people that have a high conflict personality tend to see the world through the lens of like how the world impacts me. They don't realize or they don't go through the world like how I impact the world. They're very much similar to a 12-year-old goes through the world. It's all about me. I wouldn't confront her because I would already realize that that's not going to go well if she already sees the world like this. I would call her and I would just say, hey, my mom let me know that you might want to come over more often to see Jasmine. And I'm wondering if you're free this weekend.